Evening all, and welcome to Factory Town, a new season we're going to be starting because I managed to make a huge mistake and I've lost the last one. Basically, my Windows was all broken and needed reinstalling because of the way I use and abuse Windows, and I completely forgot to back up the save to Factory Town when I did it. I forgot it doesn't store it in your documents, it stores it somewhere else, and yeah, so it's gone, I'm afraid. So we're going to have to start again, which isn't a bad thing because the game went through a lot of changes during the last playthrough, so we're going to have new things, mainly actual things growing, see down there, whatever they are, and actual things appearing on the map, which is how the game's supposed to play. So, let's get into it. Now, I do want to play, obviously, the last map I played on was fairly easy, it was pretty flat, there was not much going on with it, so I want to play on something else there, but I thought, if I try and explain slightly how the map editor works, then maybe it would help some people build some fantastic looking maps. We'll start with flat. I'm not going to actually play with this flat one here, I've got an idea I'm going to play with, but we'll start with flat. I'm going to leave everything else well, off, basically, and default scenario and default start state. If we're going to edit map here, you get an option to change some of the settings on things, and I'll go through them all and try and explain it all. I'm still a little confused on how some of them work or interact with each other, so have to forgive me for that. Well, the first option obviously is the name. You can just name it whatever you want to call it. So, super flat noise, that's fine. Bypass basically means you can turn it off so it doesn't use it. That's useful if you add new things and there's nowhere to remove them. So, for instance, if we go into the top one here, you can add new functions and things here. So, if I add a new noise function, you'll see it changes the whole map, makes it all look weird. But there's no way to remove that. We can't get rid of it now. So, if you click bypass, it turns it off. That's what bypass is for. Back to that one. Mask and blend are, you can add filters to the filter. I don't tend to use them at all when I've been playing with things. You can do. You can add new blends and add master stuff. I'm not going to go into them because I'm not sure entirely how they work. These ones here, however, are the ones that I do kind of understand. H scale is the horizontal scale of the noise. This is all what they call noise. In fact, if I turn this one off and turn that one on, so we got a better definition, you'll be able to see it work better for it. It's exactly the same thing. Super flat noise and noise is the same. The difference is obviously you see the default values are slightly different. There's a big one down here, which is different, but we'll get to that. The horizontal scale is how large the noise is. So if you make it bigger, you'll see it just basically makes things bigger. See this little pull here? It will make it larger. So it's sampling more of the noise. And if you shrink it down to a certain level, you get very strange looking terrain, and you can actually just turn it off. So yeah, that's just one you basically want to set it to whatever you feel like is quite good, but you will come back and change these scales as you change other ones. Vertical scale is the same. Here we've got a little mountain there and a little pull here. If we increase the vertical scale, the mountains become taller, the pull becomes deeper, and you can in fact invert this. So we made that pull tall and the mountains lower. If you prefer a water world, you can invert it and do that sort of thing. Go sort of -4 or something, give you quite an interesting looking way of doing things. Turn it up quite high for other things. Knee angle, knee position, and knee size. These are ones that took me a little while to try and figure out. Basically, I think it figures out between this point here, the highest point, and the lowest point. That's the knee in between there. And the knee angle is how sharp that is. You see, if I turn it up, this has got a larger knee around it because it's the lowest point, so it's got a bigger, flatter area. And that also became larger. If you change the knee angle down there, it's how it changes. In fact, I think actually now I'm looking at that, if you change it to the minuses, the higher points become larger. If you change it to the positives, the lower points become larger. It's how smooth it's there. The knee position is also how far away it is from it. You see it changes up or down, so we can actually have the knee position up high. That affects the highest points. That gets a large ridge to it. And if you put it down low, it changes the lowest points. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So you change, if you set that to 0, you can get quite flat with some large areas. Quite nice. And the knee size is just how large it is. So if I increase that to 1 again, make it bigger, you'll see it changes how much of these toys you get. That basically will give you a completely flat land with the odd mountain poking out of it there. Generally leaving them in the center somewhere is sort of the best way to do it. The first two at 0 and the knee size at, if you put them at 0, the knee size doesn't matter, but there. You can obviously change the knee angle up if you want to get that more flat looking area. Where did I put that? I didn't find it now. There we go. See it changing the way the ridge works. Right, okay. The ridge, this is something as well which confused me for a while trying to figure it out here. But I think the ridge is basically, it figures out the highest point and lowest point on the noise, and if you change the ridge, you'll see it just instantly flips this round. I'm not sure why it does that. That seems a little wrong to me, but it does. And then it just changes the size of it, so you can get quite sort of volcanic looking holes, things in places. So you can change the ridge around, invert your map around and change. It just changes how the points happen there. You can see here with this mountain, it changes how it inverts it from being the lowest point to the highest point, but also changes places around it. It's almost like it makes that lowest point expand, so it becomes the opposite as it goes around. So interesting one. Essentially, you'll play with a lot of these settings and just find one that kind of works for how you want to do it. Let's turn the ridge back up full for that one there. The low compression and high compression is how low the map can be and how high the map can be, or how smooth the lowest points and highest points can be. So if you bring up the low compression, it will actually make, see this under the water there is becoming smoother. I don't know if you can see that on YouTube, hopefully you can. But it's making a larger, flatter point. See, now it's made everything smooth at the bottom of the map. But if you change the high one, it does it for the top of the map. So you see it makes larger, flatter areas higher up. So this can have some very interesting effects if you do things like this. And if you get the high compression, low compression quite close, you get ridges and straight down things. I kind of like that, I've got to say. I do kind of like the whole idea of having plateaus around. But again, that's something you can have a bit of a play with. The local low cutoff and high cutoff and the global low and high cutoff are very similar. The local one changes this option you've got here. The global one changes the whole map, so every option you've got in there, I believe. Yeah, I believe that's how it works there. So the low cutoff is how far down it can go before it actually just stops, before it becomes completely flat. You can go, well, I want to have it like there, so you can see that's only going down 2 or 3 blocks and then just becoming flat. And the same for the high one. If you change that down, you'll see you get larger ridges, so you can just go, well, I actually want loads of flat land up there, so I'll put that to, we'll say 0.6, and then we get these pools around, and everything else is flat. So that's a very useful one, that one there. You can change that just a little bit, just to go, well, I like this map, but I know where to build. So if I change that down, there we go, I've got a big area to build now, and it's still difficult because I need to move around over there. The global low cutoff and the global high cutoff are exactly the same, but as I said, they affect every option that I've seen so far. They're not just for the one noise here. So if I had both these noise picked, then it would affect both of them. The anchor and the world offset are similar as well. The anchor, I believe, only affects the option you've got, so it will only affect this noise here, and it changes how high. So you move the whole thing up or the whole thing down. So like that plateau one we had before, which was very high, you could change the anchor and make the plateaus lower in the water, give yourself some more water. And the world offset is exactly the same thing, but affects everything. It moves the world up and down, but affects every one of these options, I believe. Again, I'm not entirely sure on that because there are different numbers in each of these here, but we're bypassing that one. You see, we've now made a map using that noise. If we add the super noise back into it as well, super flat noise, it changes the whole world, but differently, because they stack on top of each other. All these stack up on top of each other. So changing this one here will change. See, it's making it very, very bumpy there because I made it small. I turn off that noise, you can see that's what it's doing. It's adding that there. Oh, go to the right place, shall we? Do that there. That's what the super flat noise is currently doing. It's cut off because the global high cloth is set to 0, so it can't go anything above 1 square above water. Let's turn that off. Make life a bit easier for ourselves. You can see that's what it's doing. You can see it's all making these ridges and bumps. And if we turn on this one here, it adds those ridges and bumps to this one, which I changed by mistake. That back to 0. You see it's adding them all to it. So you've got the noise making the mountains, and then the super flat noise adding the bumps to it. And that's generally how the maps all work. You can add stuff to them, you can change things. I mean, if I add the vertical noise, the minuses, it changes the whole world there. But then I might want to go down here and say the local high cutoff is quite low, or the low cutoff being inverted for some reason. Yeah, so the low cutoff for that one there. Not sure why. Yeah, and then that will give you places like this. Turn the scale down. Don't see the pools are just moving, changing in size. Vertical scale will change. It's just how the vertical scale is in minuses. That's why it was inverted down there. So if I move that up, the high cutoff. So because the vertical was in the minuses, it's actually the low cutoff you're doing. It inverts things around, and you can add as many levels of functions as you like. I'm not sure what stack and comparator do. Comparator, if I add it, always just makes the world flat, and I don't know what else to do here. There's other functions here, but I don't understand it, so I can't go into that, I'm afraid. I'll just bypass that. But yeah, you can't get rid of these once they put them in there, so you can just bypass them, and they're gone. You can add stack as well. I'm not sure. I mean, stack has options in it to add. A stack is like a filter at the top. I'm not sure what you add to the stack. I don't know how that works. I think it's just you can merge noise together in a stack and it becomes one set of noise and it gets to add to it, rather than the thing going through and adding this one to that one to that one. We add all of them in here to that. So it gives you options to change how it works. Masking and blending, I'm not sure how they work. Again, you can add a noise mask to a mask, and scale of things, it goes quite deep. And you can add a mask to a mask to a mask. So I think the idea of a mask would be if you had very, very hilly ones, you could then add a mask to it and go, I actually want to cut out these bits here to make flat areas in that huge hilly place. But someone probably understands this a lot better than I do, but I'm trying to sort of get my head around it. Yeah, that's how it works. I mean, we could play on that world there. I don't mind that one. That looks okay. Want to change a couple of the things. I wanted to get it a bit more messy on top, but I had an idea of actually, rather than using this here, using one of the built-in ones and modifying it slightly. So one other thing just to point out as well, smoothing start area. See, this is all pretty smooth, so it's easy enough there, but this edge here could be too steep for your people to walk down. Smooth starting area just basically means that it will smooth all the area, the whole map, to the center point. The point here at the center of this one tile. So no matter where you put your people, they can walk down to water level at the center point. Every one of your workers can get there by default. It makes maps look weird, and it only affects the center tile, I believe, so I'd rather turn that off and then just have to dig your way down. It looks better there. And also auto place base, create mode, that's all self-explanatory. But the map I wanted to get to, if we go to biomes and go to archipelago, we get this lovely little looking ridges and bits and pieces, which I kind of like, but it's a bit messy for my taste. So in Archipelago Noise 2, I'm going to turn that off. That gets rid of all the small little islands. Goodbye. And in here, I'm going to change the horizontal scale to be double. So it's going to be 54. What I figured out, 54 point whatever it does. There we go. It just gives me more land mass, but I've still got to like bridge over to get to other places, and we don't know where resources are going to be as well, so that's fine. I also want to lower this down slightly because I like it being a ridge that I've got to go down to, but I don't want it to be that far. So if I go down to the local high cutoff, I can change this and just drop it all the way down. I think about 0.3. I want it. Okay. And that means I've still got ridges to come down, so my workers just can't walk straight down to the water. But it's not as high. It doesn't feel like you're really high up on the plateau. You could change this right down and make it sort of levelish with the water if I wanted to. But I think about 0.3 works. That's fine. And yeah, I'm happy with that. So that is basically the default acapella one. Turning off noise 2 so we don't get the little islands. I did toy with the idea of just changing the scale up to full wax so you get these ridges here, but turn off that one there. And the horizontal scale in the first one doubled to 54, and the local high cutoff dropped to 0.3, so you get this area here. If you want to change these ridges on top to make it completely flat, you can bypass the third one. Makes it totally flat, make life a bit easier to play. Or alternatively, you can turn it on and change the scale on this one as well to make it flat, but not smoother. Not as smooth. So let's change that to 54 as well, shall we? 5. Yeah, we're at 53. There we go. So we have got these ridges to come up, but we will have a lot of smooth land. Makes the game a bit easier. Yeah. Remember as well, if you do change any of these settings and mess it up and be like, oh no, what have I done? I want to change it back. Just go back and pick the biome again. Pick Archipelago. There. Yeah, you can just go through and go, oh, I'll have that one. And then again, I'll just change the scale to double. Turn off the second noise. Oh, and also in the first one, turn the local cutoff down to 0.3. There we go. And then you put it back to defaults. You can type into these boxes here, but it doesn't do anything. If I change this to say 0.1 and push enter, it doesn't actually change. It only works on the sliders. So although it was tempting to type in the boxes to get the exact numbers, they don't actually change when you do things. So yeah, there you go. I mean, we could start over here, and then we could try and build over to these other islands to build things in certain places. I kind of like the idea of that. It would be nice to smooth out these edges here, but I don't think we can. The knee size doesn't do anything at the moment because the knee angle is changing how rigid it is. If you make it smoother, it makes it lovely smooth, but you lose a lot of land. So yeah, and the knee position as well, you can make it larger, but it won't matter because I'm going to set this to 0. And yeah, so that doesn't matter. And ridge again just inverts things. So if you find a map that you go, oh, that's lovely, but there's too much water and not enough land, just invert the ridge down to 0, and it will just change it. So you've got more land. The land becomes water and the water becomes land. So yeah, and if you set it somewhere in the middle, you just get lakes. But I'm happy with that. I think we're going to go with that. Let's give that a go, shall we? So let's create this and see what we get. There we go. Resources are distributed randomly, so you never quite know what you're going to get or where you're going to get it. Also, there is this rock that appears underwater. I'm not really sure why it does that. I suppose it just rock can spawn underwater. I'm not really sure how you'd ever get that rock. Maybe there's a way to do it with boats or bringing the land up. I'm not sure. But we have got fish. Fish are spawning naturally. We have got tomatoes, which we didn't have in the last playthrough, and we have carrots. So we've got all the things that didn't spawn last time actually in the world, and we can build things out. You see, we've got a bit of land over there. Got a very strange, absolute straight edge there. But yep, island over there, and island over there. So this is good. This is good. We could start on this piece here and build over to there if we need to. Build over to that island. We can obviously just take the resources off, smooth the island out, and make whatever we want. You know, you can put farms over here or whatever. I think I'm going to go with the idea when we come to big manufacturing of having dedicated areas rather than doing the big rail system like I did last time. I still want to do that for things like coal and animal feed because that's used everywhere. But for instance, I'll have for the bread making, I'll have the farms doing the flour and everything in one area, and then just bring coal in from a train, essentially. And then if anywhere needs, like with the bakery needs eggs, for instance, whatever reason, the pasture will be there ready to do it with everything it needs, and animal feed will come in from a distance because animal feed is used in many places. So anyway, there's 20 minutes of me waffling along about how to build a map and how it goes. Hopefully you understand that a bit more, and hopefully you're willing to play with it a bit more, because we need to have a play with it, see what you like, see what you don't like. Remember, if it all goes wrong, you can reset it, it's not a problem. But let's follow the tutorial, shall we, and build our base. So, where do we want to put our base? Buildings, base. Where do I want to put it? It should be, good location should be trees, grain, stone, as much flat land as possible. Well, grain a lot of flat land, I'll be honest with you, because of how we've done it there. Don't really want to start over there, although that's tempting. That's iron. There's stone. Loads of stone here. I think we're going to start down here. I want to put the base a bit more centralised than I did last time, so it can be accessed from different places. Yeah, I think we'll put it there. Now, here's a bit of a question. It doesn't matter which way the base faces, but there you go. Right, and we now have 4 workers put around the edge of the base, doing things on their own. Right, so we need to gather wood, so we'll do that. Grab wood. You are to grab wood. And I think we want to grab some stone as well. So you are to grab stone, and you are to grab stone. Okie, right. So we need to build a house, which should be put down here somewhere. There it is, house. Where do we want to put our first houses? Things will move as time goes on. I want to build a village somewhere, so we'll probably find an island for that. Yeah, maybe over there. Don't know. That might be a bit. Dude, that island looks big enough to have just a village on it, but we will see. For now, it's going to literally just be right next to the base, so it's going to go there, like so. Okay. We now need to place 2 new workers on the map, which we can do because we've got 6 workers, so 1 and 2. There you go. And now we supply the house. I am speeding through this a bit, so I'm sorry if you're new to the game and not understand what's going on. I'm basically just following this tutorial. It's quite easy to do. It just gives you the basics of the game, but obviously I do know the basics. So yeah. I know the house wants grain. Grain you can get from the land here. You do have to be careful not to use all your grain up in the area. Make sure you leave some somewhere, because you'll need grain to plant farms. So remember that. If we grab you and say off you go, grab the grain, deliver it straight to the house, and they can eat it. What I think I might do as well is I might tell you to put grain into the barn, into the base. Sorry, so that we've got it in there. We've got last one there. The base, let me quickly explain. The base obviously has 4 inventory slots at the moment, which can store 100 items each, and can be upgraded later. We'll get to that. But you can, when they're empty, I can't do it now because we have no space for them, but when they're empty, you can filter them, so that the base will always have wood, stone, that sort of thing in it, so it's always got spaces for it. So that's a thing. Again, a thing we'll get to later. Not really. Right, it wants us to build a path. Let's build a path straight down past the front of our house. There we go. Okay. Right, now we are going to move into a lumber mill. A lumber mill basically takes trees, takes logs, is it? Takes wood and produces planks. So that's awesome. So let's build a lumber mill, and we'll put the lumber mill. Well, I would say up there, but we can't. We can't build it because it requires more workers. And it doesn't actually say here. Collect some stone. Also require spare population, so build another house if you're at max population. So it does say in there. So we're gonna have to build a second house. We'll put that just next door. Boom. Build a road to him. Yeah. Be nicer. And what we'll do is we'll grab worker there. You are going to take grain to that one instead. Keeping people happy is important. At the moment we have no production bonus, but you'll see when we come to it. Again, if you know this, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to explain it for anyone who might be new to the game. So we're going to put down our lumber mill, and then I'll show you production. The lumber mill has an arrow, you see, which is the output. That's the auto output. You can take things out of any side and put things into any side, apart from that green arrow. You cannot put items in at the ground level where that green arrow is. So keep that in mind. So we'll put down that can go there, and we've unlocked loads of new things. Awesome. Okay, right. So we have this big symbol above our lumber mill, which means we have no recipe assigned to it, which is fine. So we need to assign a recipe to it. So let's click on this, and we want to say it's going to produce planks, because that's all we can do. We don't have paper yet. And planks requires 2 wood, 3 seconds, and produces 1 plank. So we'll tick that. And now if I'll grab one of my stone workers, because we've got 1 worker on that, and I'm going to say you take wood from the base. No, take wood from the trees and put it in the lumber mill. I could take it out of the base if I wanted to, because we've got 1 guy here still filling the base up, but I want to have a stack of wood in there for the moment. He'll take trees, we'll put 2 in there, and that will convert into a wooden plank, like so. Awesome. We have planks. Awesome. And you'll see here as well, it says speed is 100%. That's what I mean by production. Up here it says happiness is 2, and it's plus 0% at the moment, so we're keeping our villagers happy, but they're not giving us any bonus to working yet. If you can get the happiness higher by giving them more items that they want to consume, they will give you bonuses. So this might go up to 110 or 120%, meaning that if you got it to 200%, for instance, instead of taking 3 seconds to produce 1 plank, it will take 1.5 seconds. It increases the production speed, or reduces the production time. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Right, so now we need to collect the planks. We could do that with a chute or a worker. It says a worker, so let's do that. Let's put a worker down. We've got 8 of 8 workers now, and we will go mouse over the lumber mill, and you'll see we've got 2 options here. But actually you have 4 options here, which threw me off a little bit to start with. You can either take wood or take planks out. I don't believe you can take wood out of it whilst it's using them. If you turn the recipe off inside the lumber mill, this thing down here, you could then take the logs back out. But it wants us to take planks and deliver them to the base. So you can click, drag, and so long as you've got the little icon on your mouse cursor there, you can drop it on the base, and there you go. It's exactly the same for picking up things. Didn't explain that. To pick up resources, you just click and hold and drag to where you want to drop them off when you've got a worker selected. So makes life nice and easy. The other options here, if I quickly show you, the red button there, if you click that, he will empty everything inside this building, and will drop it to the nearest storage. So right now that'd be the base, so he'd just empty everything into the base. That's useful if you want to empty something that has multiple items into one place. It will just do it straight away. The other one as well is this green icon here. If you click that, he will then go and find that resource from wherever, which at the moment, as you see, it says tree there. See the little line that appears? And he will just fill that up there. Again, useful if you've got storage barns nearby. You can just say, grab it, and he'll grab it from whatever storage barn he can find it from, and everything will work that way. So do keep in mind that those options are very rarely used, but can be useful at times. And I'm getting well ahead of myself, so that's... Anyway, we need to upgrade a house now. So, houses can be upgraded to increase production capacity. So, instead of building new houses every time, a new house gives you 2 workers. You can actually upgrade them. Bearing in mind that a house, when you upgrade it, will then require new things. So it's keeping the happiness is more difficult. So if we upgrade this house, which requires 10 gold and 5 planks, we've got 131 gold. You get gold, you'll see this appearing above the houses here. We're selling grain to the workers, and they're giving us 1 gold per grain. So that's how we get yellow coins. Sorry, red coins, blue coins, purple coins, yellow coins. It costs 10 yellow coins and 5 planks. Well, we have planks because we've been getting them from here. So that's awesome. So let's upgrade this house. Boom. And you'll see we've got 2 new workers. This house now supports 4 workers instead of 2. However, it wants general goods now. It wants general goods. You'll see there's another row in the inventory here which shows you what it gets. So you can give it planks, stone, clothing, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's all very good. I'm not sure what the numbers are in brackets. They used to represent how happy it would make the person. Now they're all just weirded to 1. I don't know what that means, but right. And now to make this house happy, it currently is happy, but it's only at +2 happiness. It could potentially go to +4 happiness. So to do that, or sorry, go to +2 happiness, making it a +3. Sorry. We need to give it different goods. So we need to select a worker, hover over a lumber mill or any other building that has a plank, and bring planks over to it. Because you see here the general goods are the second row, so it wants planks. So we've got 2 new worker slots. Let's build a worker. Boom. And let's say take the planks out of the base and drop them into that house there, because that's been upgraded. That's house level 2, that's house level 1. And he will grab the planks there, and then we've got +3 happiness, which is awesome. Which is absolutely awesome. Right. Still don't have any production bonus. I think that's tied behind the base. So, upgrade bases also have more storage capacity. You want to upgrade the base now. Select the base and click upgrade, and everything will go. So we click on the base, and to upgrade it, we need 20 yellow coins, 10 planks, 20 stone, and 4 happiness. Well, we currently have all the resources, but we don't have the happiness. And we can't get the happiness right now because we only have that's level 2, so that can have a maximum of 2 happiness. That's level 1, can have a maximum of 1. So we need to upgrade this house by using 5 planks again. Boom. And then we need to supply this one with materials so we can get a +2 happiness. Because at the moment the first one is happy because it's got food. The second happiness will be the general goods. So let's build another worker down here on the action bar, or you can press B and you see we've got workers here. And you can also grab planks and drop them in that house there. Now we could, rather than do planks, we could give it stone. I think I'll do that. For the second one. Let's just move him off so he stops doing stuff. We will grab stone instead. And the reason behind that is because we're not getting as much planks as I'd like. They're not coming in fast enough. We're using more than we're getting in. So I think we'll do that here. Okay, so we have a problem here. That won't accept stone. Why would that not accept stone? Because it wants stone brick, which we don't have right now. Okay, so that was a mistake. Let's drop off that stone there. We can't do because our base is full. Okay, so let's drop it off somewhere else, shall we? Let's build a crate. A crate is a very small storage item that can store 20 items, I believe it is. More of a temporary storage. Although it has an arrow, it doesn't have an auto output, so you do have to use grabbers and things to get it out of there. So let's drop off you in there. Let's drop off you in there. Oh, you can't do that because a crate can only have 1 item. Yep, that's true. Right, so you can drop off your corn in there just for a minute. Okay, 3 workers now. Right, so we need more planks. He is not supplying our planks, our lumber mill fast enough. So let's get an extra couple of people working on that, shall we? Let's have 4 people drop off planks, drop off wood into the lumber mill, and we've got 1 person taking it from there to there. So good. We'll drop you off. Bone. Do we have anyone else? Oh, you're doing wood. You can stay doing wood for a minute. In fact, no, you can drop off your wood there. Reassigning people becomes a big sort of thing, micromanaging to start with. Things do get a lot easier as they go on, so that's good. So we need to take the planks from there to our workers because that's there. You see, this is actually dropping down. It's got a timer on it, so that's how happy they'll be for how long they'll be. It does appear as if you can kind of force feed people. We're constantly giving these people food, and the bar's never dropping down. So you could, in theory, have it so you could stop that and wait for the bar to start dropping down, and you'll keep the happiness. You'll just stop getting the gold in, or the yellow coins. Sorry. If I say you take planks that one, and you take planks to that one there. So we've now got 4 happiness, which means we can upgrade the base. We get a big green arrow above the base, because we've got the 4 happiness. Because this one still hasn't quite ticked off not being happy. I did think when these were completely full, it would stop delivering the bases, but it looks as if it doesn't. You still do that, which is a little awkward, because it means we're going to use up our goods before we're going to use more than we're producing. But we'll see. Maybe the market does that. We'll get to the market. So let's upgrade the base. Click on the base, and you can get the big green button there. We've got everything we need. So let's upgrade. Click. Maximum houses have increased by 4, so we're allowed 8 houses now instead. Awesome. Right. So we also now need to build a food market. A food market is a much better system than delivering to houses directly. So let's build one of those. Bring up the build menu, press B, go to buildings, and you'll see we have the food market as well as a few other things unlocked. But in the food market, it's got this circle. That circle is how far it can deliver goods. So I can put it over here and it will be able to deliver to those houses. And I will explain the delivering goods in just a moment. I'm going to put it just opposite that first house there because for the minute it's fine. And I'm going to pause the game for a reason. We have to supply the food market. We can bring it grain, flour, fruit, or other food items. It only takes food. It's got a big list of what food it can take, but it does only take food. So it will only supply the first row here. And the reason I pause the game is because sometimes it gets confusing where all your people are. If you pause the game and then mouse over a worker, you can see the arrows on him. You see he's got a little an arrow pointing towards that grain there. It means he's grabbing grain and he's delivering to that house there. And if you mouse over a house, you see it goes to that worker and that worker, which means that's where you know where they are, what they're doing. So I want to grab this worker and I want to say, instead of deliver to the house, I want you to deliver to the food market. Like so. And I want you to stop. You can issue commands when the game's paused, and when you unpause, it does things. It does what it's doing. There you go. You are now going to take and deliver to the food market, and the food market will sell the grain or whatever resources it gets to whatever house requires it. So you see here, I go and grab that. He delivers to the food market, and the food market sells to, well, that house first time round. Next time I think it will sell to the next house. Yeah, it sells to each house as and when they require it. So it's not as I can have one person delivering to the market and he's supplying 2 or 3 houses rather than having one person to go everywhere. That's resource management is quite important for people because every building you put down requires a worker. So if you've got all 12 workers out doing things, you then can't put down another lumber mill, for instance. You've got no space to do it. The grain mill is our next little one that we're going to have a play with. So let's go buildings. Buildings grain mill requires 10 planks. We don't have that because we have no planks in storage. So that's because we're delivering all the planks to the markets all the time. So let's stop that. Not the markets, sorry, to the houses. Let's stop those 2 workers there. Does mean our happiness is going to drop slightly, but you can see the food market is able to supply, one person is able to supply 2 houses quite efficiently. The bars are dropping slowly, but I think they fill up in time. The issue is just that we're not getting enough wood into our lumber mill. But we will get to that soon. We'll get to that soon. The grain mill. The grain mill requires planks. We have 10 planks now. Let's build the grain mill. Okay. And I'm going to put the grain mill... Oh, right. Yeah, that's something I do a lot there. The camera, you can hold right click and move the camera around, but you can't do that when you have a building selected, because it cancels the building. So instead, if you hold shift, you can then just move the camera around by holding the shift button there. Put the grain mill directly behind the food market. It is uphill. Want to make sure, if you're ever going to use chutes for things, which I'm going to do next, it's uphill or level, because chutes don't travel uphill themselves. So you want to be downhill or level. Sorry. So put that down there, and we want to now make flour. So in the grain mill, we want to select a recipe. Click on the grain mill there. You can either select the building itself, and then pick select recipe, or this big button that appears above it. You can click that, and it comes straight up with the recipe. We want flour. Okay. And now this needs 3 grain, 4 seconds to produce 1 flour. So, worker, you, come here. You are to take grain to the lumber mill, to the grain mill. You're to do the same, and you're to do the same. So they're all going to take it to the grain mill instead, and that will produce flour. Flour can then be sent to the food market, and the food market can then distribute it to the houses. And I believe flour lasts longer. It takes a longer time to degrade. Like the planks here are degrading down, so he's going to drop down to being 1 happiness soon. The flour lasts longer than grain. The bread lasts longer than grain and flour, and the sandwich lasts longer than all of them. Plus, they sell for different values. Down here, you have an economic button. You can push O to bring up as well. And you'll see grain sells for 1 coin, flour sells for 5, bread sells for 12, sandwich sells for 30. And you can figure out that all these things are there. And category as well. That will increase the bar by 10%. That will increase it by 30, by 50, and by 100. So 1 sandwich will fill the bar up on a house completely. I'm not sure how long it takes to degrade. I don't know, but it's a while. We're obviously pushing that. So by figuring it out there, we know that if we sell 1 grain to a house, we get 1 coin. But if we sell flour, we get 5 coins. However, it takes 3 grain to produce 1 flour. So therefore, it will take 5 grains to get 5 coins, or 3 grain with 1 flour to produce 1 coin. So it's more efficient. It's much more efficient. This has got 7 flour in it. So we can now produce flour and sell it at the market for a premium. Bring enough grain to the mill to produce flour, bring that flour to the market to sell it. So I could grab this villager and say, hey, grab the flour from there, but I want to do it automatically. So we're going to use chutes. In the build menu under paths, you have a footpath and a chute. A footpath is basically just allows your workers to move faster. So footpaths are very useful to put things around. Roads are moving faster and other bits here. But chutes can transfer goods. Not all goods, just certain goods. It's a bit weird to figure out what goods are good for it. Basically, any item that looks round, and by looks round, I mean, if I pause the game, you can see that worker right there is holding a piece of grain, and it looks like a ball. Any item that looks like a ball can travel along a chute, as well as logs. Logs can also travel. They don't look like balls, but they can travel along a chute. Whereas I think planks can't travel along a chute. You require a conveyor for that, so bear in mind. But we can test that. We can test that right now. So let's put a chute down. Now you'll see as I get close to the barn, it has these arrows. Green means in, red means out. Means that you cannot input into this not barn, sorry, grain mill via that red arrow. It can only output. And I'll pause it again. If I build a chute from there like that, it will auto output onto that chute, which is quite useful to know. I'll get into the dynamics of chutes later on because you can actually change them to spin around, but we'll do that. But now that should auto output its flour onto the belt, onto the chute, and into the food market. If flour can be transferred on a chute, I'm not sure. It can. There we go. See it all flying out, flying into the market. The market now has 10 of them, 8 of them. But the market will only sell to a house when it's got space for it. Whereas I think if you deliver directly to a house, it will just over force feed them. So you see, it only feels like, and when that drops down below the 30% mark, below the 70% mark, it will feed another one to it. So at least I think that's how it works. Well, I hope that's how it works. So yeah, there we go. Now, as for planks, stop. Let's build a chute. Let's build a chute going like that. And no, see, it's got a big red marker. It goes, nope, I cannot output onto a chute automatically. I'm not allowed to. So you'll need a belt for that. And that's because logs can be moved on chutes because they're round-ish. Planks are not, they're flat, so they won't work on chutes. To remove chutes, you can simply right-click when you've got the chute selected. You can right-click on them and they will be deleted. Or you can use the remove tool, which is the button down here, remove blocks, or the X button, and then click on them and it goes away. You can also copy items. Move you out of the way there. So like I want to place this path here. I could click down here 2 and do that, and that's fine. Or I can mouse over a path, press C, and it will copy that path. And then I can just put that back in there again. That's quite useful for when you're copy buildings. For instance, a lumber mill, I can copy lumber mill, put another one down somewhere. You can put them on the action bar down here, that's fine, but you know, copying is quite useful. Right, we best put you back to moving planks because planks cannot move from chutes and we want planks. So, right, okie dokie. And you see we upgraded our base, we now have 8 storage instead of 4. Okay, the next thing is to build a workshop. A workshop lets you craft units and structures that generally automate your village. Right, so let's build a workshop. I'm just going to mouse over them to get rid of that flashing mark. These are all ramps and things that you can build. We'll get into that later. So let's build a workshop. A workshop requires 30 coins, 20 stone and 10 planks. So we've got all that up there. That's quite fun. Build a workshop. Don't know where to put the workshop. I'm going to put it right there in the way. I think. Let's put it over there by the edge. I don't know what this actually requires. Right, we've unlocked a fence, half stairs, and a wagon. Stairs and ramps or something. Let me very quickly show you what I mean by that. Scaffold ramp allows carts and chutes and belts and stuff to move up and down things. Half stairs will only allow workers to move up and down things. I don't really know why you'd ever use stairs for anything. Aesthetically, I suppose they look better, but really you'd want to use ramps because workers can walk up ramps and carts can do it as well, so yeah. Anyway, also barns. We've got barns here. Barns access communal storage. Any item in a barn is usable for the player build actions. That's something I wanted to point out. We've got all these items inside our base. And you can see we have 30 stone, and available resources up here we have 30 stone. However, in the crate we've got 2 stone, so why don't we have 32 up here? That's because stuff in a crate or a silo, which is another item later on, can't be used by the build menu. They're like just a storage on the side. They're not actually used as items you can build with or do things with. Barns, however, which is the next thing we're going to build, they can be used as major storage. So let's put a barn in and put it down there next to that one there. And if I was to say take stone from the crate and put it in the barn, you'll see stop, we don't want the one. You'll see we now have 21, it cost 10 to build the barn, so yeah. We now have 21, so we have 20 in there and 1 in the barn. But the one in the crate still doesn't count. So, just something to, make sure you know about. If you're like, I want to build, I want to have some things, but stored away that I'm not going to use for building by mistake, you can do that. You can go, well, I'll put 20 coal inside the crate, and then I know I've got 20 coal stored away. And if I use all the coal up on the map, when I come to put my mines down, I can build the coal again. We'll get to that later. You never really have an issue with that, if I'm honest with you. It does work, so yeah. Right, so in that case, we don't need that crate anymore. We can delete that. So set line, press delete, and it's gone. Right. Our next option is to create wagons. So wagons are like workers, just more. We do that in the workshop, don't we? Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. Let's build a recipe in the workshop. The workshop can do a lot. Shoes with the massive nails in them, and cloth and other bits and pieces. But right now we want wheels. We want wheels because a cart requires 4 wheels. Unless you want 3 wheels and have a wonky cart, but we can't do that. We need wheels. So let's produce wheels. And wheels, unfortunately, require 2 planks, which is a little awkward because obviously we don't have as many planks as I would like. Oh, upgrading the storage as well. Upgrade the level 2 base means we can store 200 items per stack. That doesn't just give you 4 more stacks, it actually doubles the current storage. Right. So we need planks going to our workshop. So let's assign you grabbing planks and putting it in the workshop. Okay, you're still producing flour. You don't actually have any flour in you at the moment. Means that we're not producing enough flour to keeping up with our demand at the moment. Though we kind of are, but we'll automate things later, make things faster, and that's what the game's all about. Like any other game you've played that does any resource management, Factorio or Rimble or anything like that, you start off manually doing things. Minecraft, the big one. You start off manually mining the stone yourself, and then later on you have quarries doing it for you, so that works. Also keep in mind that resources do get used. You see these trees are being used up, so eventually we will run out of trees in this area here and they'll start working on them. Eventually we'll run out of grain. That's why I put the 100 grain in the base, so I knew I had some for later. You can remove resources. It costs money to do it. It costs yellow coins to remove resources. Be careful doing that, because if I remove them earth stones, for instance, there aren't any other more on the map. I'd have to expand out to find some more. So yeah, and you need earth stones later on. Anyway, you are producing wooden wheels for us, which is good. But you'll see it's not in our list of items up here. I don't know if it shows up there or not, but it's not up there. And if I went to build, well, let's let you build the 4th wheel. But you have 4 wheels, and if I now go to build a wagon, I can't, because the wheel is inside a building and it's not inside a barn or a base. So we need to transfer that round, which is difficult because right now we don't have any more people to build. We don't have any more villagers, workers to put down. So let's build another house and our village. For the people to move that away and put down a 3rd house, and because it's in range of the market, it will automatically get fed by the market, so you haven't got to worry about it. There you go, it automatically got fed. Hopefully the market can keep up with all 3 of them. We'll see, we'll check it out. We've still got +0 happiness, but +0 production, but we'll get to it. So now I have the opportunity to put down 2 more workers, like and a worker here. Like I say, you grab the wheels, put them in that barn. Three and 4. They don't actually show up on this menu here. I think this is basic building materials, not actual storage. So, and there you go. We have 7 wheels and a stone. Oh yeah, we moved the stone in there earlier on. Just testing. Bear in mind, although that's 1 stone and a barn can store 100 items per row, that's that whole row used up. So if you have a barn with just 1 item in there, that can now only store 150 wheels. Not that you never want to store 150 wheels, you don't really need that many, but yeah. And you can filter these as well. So I could say, for instance, you can filter the whole barn with something. So you say this barn can only take wheels, nothing else to put in there. Again, useful if you tell your people to take out wood, because they'll just put it wherever they want to put it. So yeah, and also if you reassign someone that has something in their hands, they will go to the nearest storage and drop off what they've got in their hands. May not want that to be your barns, so useful for filtering. But you can also filter the individual items. So I could say this one, I want to be, let's say, well, anything. Obviously, the first one's going to be wheels. You can't filter an item that has stuff inside it, which makes sense, I suppose. But let's say we're going to filter this to be Omnistone, which is a thing like right at the end of the game, very late game. So we're not going to have the Omnistones yet. And I filter this one to be Omnistone. That means that once this barn fills up this with 100 wheels, it can no longer take any more wheels, and then that worker will stop working. So we'll end up with 100 wheels in there, and then we'll end up with the 10 wheels in here you can store, and one on there. So we'll have 111 wheels. And no more. So that's quite useful for doing that sort of thing. You could have a barn and just say wheels, for instance. You do use a lot of wagons, but you don't need. Sorry, they store 50 per go. Sorry, not 100, 50. So you don't need 200 wheels, which is the whole barn. So yeah, that's just quite useful there. So we now have enough wheels. We have 12 wheels, so we can produce a wagon. Let's do this. Let's go buildings, wagon, and put down a wagon. Boom. There we go. Wagons are just like workers. They can grab everything a worker can grab and do everything a worker can do. They can't harvest items, so you can't tell them to harvest trees or deposit anything. They can only move items around. But they can move items 4 at a time. So, as it says here as well, note chutes that connect buildings will automatically deposit into that building. We've done that already. Boom, supply chute. Definitely can drag from a resource to a chute. Yes, yeah, that's something else that could be quite useful. Doesn't really work here because our lumber mill's up high, but let's do it anyway. Do as it says there. It basically wants us in. These workers are running. Well, I'm not sure what you're doing. What are you doing? You are going to the trees, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 5 workers grabbing trees and going back to the lumber mill and then come back again and so on and so forth. We can speed that up if we build a chute. So let's build some structural blocks because we're going to need them. We'll grab a scaffold block because that's the easiest structure on there. And we're going to say, well, we want to deposit into this lumber mill, but it's going to be awkward doing it from this distance. So we will let our workers move out of the way. We'll go along here and I'll put in 2, 4, 5 bits of scaffolding, like so, and then a chute going all the way along there. Now you'll notice the chute goes past the lumber mill and not into it. That's because we need to manually do that. So if we remove that one there, and with the chute selected, if you push R, you get this mode come up. You see what the chute actually looks like. If it's not in R mode and you just drag around, it just connects as things are going. So can be useful, can be a little awkward. Right, okay, sorry about that. Right, so chutes, yes. To turn a chute round to face there, if you push R when you have a chute selected, you get this view up here. You can see the chute changes to an actual chute icon, and that will go straight along. If you put that next to another chute, it will not interact with that chute because you're forcing it to look that way only. You can keep pushing R and rotate it around the item, the angles until you get the one you want, and like that. That will mean that chute will go into that lumber mill and will actually work. So now we have that, we want to tell our workers to drop the logs onto the chute rather than take it to the lumber mill, because it's quicker. It's a lot closer to get to that chute than it is to get to the lumber mill, so it'll make life easier. But our workers can't get up there yet. It's too low. That's where I suppose these stairs come in. So if we build the stairs, push R to rotate them around. Boom. Put one on the end as well, I suppose. We can then say, you take tree, put on chute. You take tree, put on chute. Take tree, put on chute. Take tree. chute. Okay. And that means that now they're putting on the chutes, they don't have as far to run. They don't have to walk all the way along here, all the way to London Mill and come back in. They can drop it on the chute and get back to grabbing things, and the chute can deliver it, which makes life a lot easier. Speeds up production a lot. You could have, I mean, obviously once these trees are used up, we'll probably go to these ones here, but if we did these trees here, we could have a chute coming along and doing that. Just keep in mind that chutes cannot go uphill. You cannot have, if I had a chute on the ground there and tried to make it go uphill, logs would come along, get stuck, and roll backwards. They will not go uphill. They will go downhill, just not up. So it wants us to upgrade our base again, but looking at the time, I think we're going to leave that for the next episode. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my explanation of how the map editor works. A very bad explanation of how it works, but hopefully you get the gist of it, and you can have a play with it yourself and see what you can come up with, because it is quite interesting. You can bring up some really funky maps, and I do hope you'll stick with me for playing through this playthrough. I will be making doubly sure I back things up, although now I've reinstalled Windows, it's probably going to be about 3 years before it's broken again. That's the general life of Windows for me. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope to see you again in the next one, and until then, as always, have fun.